Alright, first things first, I apologize about the audio. My phone speaker is blown up, so I got a cheap Amazon replacement that I plugged into my phone in order for me to speak. I'll fix it eventually. Social media, cell phones in general, it's destroying the car culture. The age of comparison. Everybody wants to compare themselves. Everybody's putting crazy engines inside crazy cars, and while that's all well and good, it makes other people not want to get interested into the hobby. The bar of the craziness has nothing to do with, I guess you can call it artistic styling or artistic choice. It's more along the lines of how crazy can we make something be so we can get as many views as possible. The only passion what's involved in the modern day car community is how big and explosive can we make things be to maximize, views or profits or look. So let me give you an example. The engine thing was one thing. One a big predominant one is the people I talked about this in a previous video. It's the people who purposely crash their cars, or purposely or unpurposefully, depending on who they are. It's the people who want to gain this type of clout from just crashing their cars, which is fucking ridiculous. They crash their cars and they take pictures of it and they overlay like the modern day trendy, quirky songs that all the modern kids listen to, and it's like, I just crashed my car, and that's the thumbnail, just like all the rainbows and like thumbs up, and the car's flipped in a ditch because I'm gonna go buy another one with the YouTube money for buy my merch, and yeah, that's one of them. Another one is, and I'm not saying this is everywhere. By the way, let me just clarify that. There are really good, well done professional builds that are still out there that are really clean. But along the lines of, I guess you can call it the mainstream, the brain rot. They've infected the car community because they're like a fucking plague to society. See fucking modern day YouTube like 12 years ago was, I wouldn't say it was at its peak, but it was more or less at like a really golden era of, all different types of content, because we were all just starting to see it for a first time. But now everyone's like mid-maxing what makes them the most amount of money, and it's like I feel like the lack of care to the audience is there. Like all these big YouTubers, especially the ones in the car community, like the little ones, the little guys in the car community, YouTube space, are trying to emulate or copy what the bigger YouTubers do to gain that type of viewership. And, you know, it's to, essentially get their name known and get their name out there. But what that does is it has this like almost lack of creativity, of like nothing new, because they're all just copying each other. So you have all these cookie cutter copy paste YouTubers that are going on their thumbnails with the car behind them, and it's all the same, like, slop cover photo garbage. It's like, I just spent $10,000 on my car and I didn't care. Like, it's all the same fucking shit. Like, there's no element of creativity in a big part of it. And you know what? You know what the problem is? A lot of the viewers don't. There's a reason why these channels are popular. A lot of people are watching these videos, and a lot of people who, um, you know, in because at the end of the day, here's the deal. It's the same reason on why companies like Pokemon companies still exist and they didn't just pan out. They're catering to this audience by copy pasting the same mentality over and over again, and as time goes on, like, I guess you could say that the capitalistic side is taken over, and it just kind of, the viewership just kind of rolls into itself, and you get new people, and you get constantly keep getting new people recycled through the content to kind of watch it, and whoever was older at the time kind of just pans out, and then the newer generation comes in and starts watching. So a lot of the kids who are, I guarantee you, like a lot of the kids who are, I'm not gonna name names. Actually, you know what? Fuck, I'll name names. I used to be big on Animal Z, huge on Animal Z. I loved this channel, especially like years and years ago. I remember I used to watch his videos before he did car stuff, and he was just doing skateboarding stuff. I was a kid, and I remember, watching him starting to do the drifting thing, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like, I liked it. The guy was like learning a little bit at a time. Now it's to the point where it's just not for someone like me, because I don't really care. Like, okay, this is probably a personal preference, but if somebody spends, $4,000 on, I just spent $4,000 on these coilovers. I'm like, I don't personally care, um, which is, the content's just not made for people like me, I guess, and it's just kind of difficult to get involved with any of these modern day bigger YouTubers. Amelia Hartford used to be another one. You know, she was in California. She started out with practically an apartment in a car that didn't work, and she wanted to go to a drift event, and she just did what she needed to do to, you know, get the car ready. And I'm like, damn, this chick actually knows what she's fucking doing. And then you go look at her channel. Her most popular video is a fucking chick that has her tits pulled up, and you can, and it's just like, all right, so that's the name, that's the label you want to go for your channel. It's like that's what made you famous. It's just like, and now they're off all buying Ferraris and supercars, and it's just like that shit doesn't cater to me. And it's like, well, you can't have everything cater to you. It's like, okay, so let me find another YouTube channel um that does, and there are plenty of them. They're just harder to find. There was one channel who, some people might know him because he's not really popular yet, and I don't even know if I want to. I want to bring attention to his channel. I just don't want him to get caught in the same trap of blowing up, and then all of a sudden, you know, he turns into one of these people. But for right now, the videos that he posts that I guess blew up were his Nissan Sentra. Does this quad? He built a quad exhaust, an H pipe, a Truel 4 pipe exhaust on his Nissan Sentra that he takes autocrossing, and he does all the work himself, and he just like does like little cool things here and there with cars, and a lot of the things he does with cars aren't exactly what the modern day popular YouTubers do with the cars. And it's really refreshing and cool to see some type of fucking creativity, rather than just like all this copy paste, fucking streamlined modern day. Like, there's a fine line in YouTube society of car culture where once you peak, like that's your peak, and then you need to like. The problem is they can't stop. They have to keep capitalizing off of the new viewers that they are getting, or they'll eventually die. And whether that's the case or not, I don't know. I'm not at that level, but you know, there needs to be, I feel like, a limit, because then I feel like greed comes in and it incentivizes like fucking shit content. It's just fucking slop goop content versus actual like good things. And the problem is I think a lot of people are turned off by this, and nobody really puts that level of creativity and passion into their cars anymore. Like, I go to the racetrack pretty often, or often enough. I'd say pretty often, but I want to go more. I just can't afford it. The people who are always there, it's always the same. It's always the same. There's no sense of creativity, or like everyone there has the same mentality. nobody has any type of creativity when it comes to being at the racetrack or just building their car in general. Everyone there has, their Mustang, their BRZ, their brand new GTRs and Focuses and WRXs and Golfs. It's all the same crap over and over and over again. And the reason why is because they are the best cars at what they do. That's the truth. Like, you can't say a WRX isn't a good car. It is a really good car, but there's something about them that they're overrated, especially in the today's modern car market. Like right now, cars like that are super overrated, and like people are just spending the money because it's like that's what's mainstream right now. That's what's popular, and like I said, the reason for that is because they are genuinely good cars. But when everyone picks the same cars because they're good, it kind of pulls from the creative nature of being in the automotive field as a whole. And I like to consider myself somewhat of a creative person. And what I see when I go to all these events, it's like I can't even strike up a conversation with somebody because I feel like, you know, my vision and their vision is different. Like they're there because they want to just, drive and they have their cool car. Fine. I'm there because I feel like cars to me are like a statement, or like maybe a statement of fashion or a statement of creativity, or the cars define your personality. Like your car is your outward expression of you as a person. So when I see that everybody has the same kind of cookie cutter car, to me, what that says is that everyone's personality is pretty generic and basic, and there's not a whole lot there, and it doesn't really mean anything to me. I don't like. There's nobody's attempting to do anything different. Everyone just has the same access port or cob tuner with the same downpipes and the same wheels and the same tires and the same body kits and the same everything, like everything. And I feel like that just completely defeats the purpose of getting into cars in the first place. It's like you can have your car, in your mainstream cookie cutter way and enjoy it. I mean, geez, I would love to own a WRX and drive it around. I would love to own a Mustang and drive it around. I don't know about a Golf. I'm not really a Golf fan, but I'd love to have a Focus ST or something like that. But it's just, to me, I feel like it just doesn't quite scratch the itch. And I think it pulls away from the creative aspect of loving cars. I think that people would be better off, trying different things than they are. See, here's the problem. The real issue is I'm trying to word this in a way that's not going to offend anybody. The reality is I don't fucking care, but I'm still trying to be nice. I think there's way too many fucking generic people in the fucking. I'm just. No, I'm not holding back. I think there's way too many fucking generic people in the car community, and I think it's all the same nonsense. It's all the same social media types, to where they're just taking the same pictures and like they do like the static low stuff, and it's like all of the same, World Rally Blue with gold wheels on my WRX. It's just like it's the same fucking shit. And the big YouTubers just kind of some of them have creative vision. I'll give them that. And the big reason behind it is because if you have infinite amounts of, if you have a GTA 5 infinite money glitch, you can essentially just keep dumping all your money into the new content that you make. And, you're going to have this crazy, wacky idea for the car that you have on your channel or in your video. But the problem is when you just throw a bunch of money at it and you have this crazy, wacky thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's cool." I feel like these cars lack this fluid like level of creativity. So to me, my how I like to be creative is I like having nothing and then making something out of nothing, because I think having nothing, and being creative and making something that is cool is more respectable and more appealing to the eye, because there's also a story behind it too. So it's not just this, you know, homogenized car of mishmash parts with the red Ferrari color painted on it, and it's just like, wow, that's a cool build. I think what's to me, what I believe is cooler is stuff that's simple, but also creative. Like you can see where details were put in. You can see where, you know, you didn't have a whole lot to work with, but you made something work with what you had. To me, I think that level of creativeness is extremely, extremely lacking in today's automotive culture. And I think social media has a lot to do with that part. People are often comparing themselves, uh, to other people, and a lot of the people who post on social media who have a lot of views and stuff are often the very wealthy ones who, have all these really cool cars and stuff. And you know, I'm not saying I'm not saying anything bad against it. I just think a lot of people in the car community nowadays are pretty lazy. So they're not gonna try and develop, you know, their car. I think a lot of people in the car community today are pretty shallow minded. I don't think that they have any sort of creative vision, and they just kind of do what everybody else does. We got to get the carbon fiber, we got to get the right wheels, and the Michelin Pilot Sport tires, because nobody else believes that any other tire on the planet exists unless you're an automotive YouTuber. Um, you know, everyone, all these, it's like the modern day quirkiness of people has infected the car community like a plague. Like I remember last time I went to a car meet or even a show, it's just all the same. Everyone just has the same M3, and it's just like, does nobody have any type of creative vision? Like, you go back to the 90s, 2000s, when the Japanese cars were taking over, they would be considered rice cars now. We don't even use the word rice anymore. Um, but you were technically a ricer like 10 years ago if you were still driving a car like that around today. But you know what? The cars had style, they had pizzazz, they had vision. Yes, every single one was similarly styled, but I think that that creative, iconic, you know, pop of that styling choice for those years were, know, was like almost like the peak of the culture as a whole. Whereas now, around the 2010s era, the cars that were built in a more creative, simple, and fluid like way where it was very tastefully done as like an art form. Now it's been misconstrued and twisted, um, in what people want. It's like a culture problem. We just want the biggest and craziest thing, but all the builds that are on YouTube lack fluidity. Like, I saw a video of, I think it was a guy who swapped a Ferrari V12 into a Miata. It's like, okay, pretty cool. And then there's the video of them swap, whoever, I never saw the video, but I heard that someone swapped a tank engine into a Miata, or a tank engine into, not a Miata, a tank engine into some kind of car. I'm like, okay. And then I saw the guy who swapped a Honda Civic engine in a 60s Mustang and made it front wheel drive. Like, I feel like we're evolving just backwards. Um, I saw another YouTube channel of a guy where, I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm very biased, by the way. I have my strong opinions about things. I saw another YouTube channel of a guy doing an all-wheel drive conversion on a 5-liter Mustang. And I'm like, that takes a lot of engineering and guts to do. Also in the back of my mind, what the actual fuck is the point of that? Did he invent it and create it? Yes, but it is. I saw how everything was assembled, and it looked like an absolute engineering nightmare, especially in long-term serviceability. Um, Jesus Christ, I applaud him for doing it, but I would never do something like that. And I think the market shows. I think there's a reason why the budget build stuff is really flaring up, especially right now in the automotive culture. Because I think people just want to see things that are on their own level and not be having Ferraris and just bought my 15th 240. You know, buy my T-shirt. Like, who the fuck walks around? I'm gonna be honest. Who the fuck walks around with their favorite YouTuber shirt on? Like, do you not have this like self pride? Like, I would walk around with the Linkin Park T-shirt on, not modern day Linkin Park because fuck Scientology. Uh, but like, I'd walk around with an old, Meteor or Hybrid Theory T-shirt on because it's like they're a cool, awesome band. But like, to wear a fucking T-shirt of your favorite YouTuber to me is just like YouTubers should not be treated as celebrities in any way, shape, or form. They shouldn't be treated as role models. These are just fucking people who record themselves and make money off of it. And it's like, buy my shirt, buy my keychains, buy my merch. It's just like, to me, I think that's just fucking dumb. Just fucking weird. I mean, I'm weird right now, recording myself with my phone. I just don't think that this modern day culture of cars is there's like no substance, there's no fluidity, there's nothing holding it up together. And I think this is a Western culture thing as a whole. Everybody wants bigger, everybody wants better, but nobody knows what it takes to get this way, and nobody appreciates how it came to be. And I think it's just a culture problem. It's just everyone is so desensitized by the flashing, strobing lights and colors of all these YouTube channels, and nobody's focusing on our automotive culture as a whole, at its roots. Like, look, I mean, look at what you had, like the 1960s. We were, digging our heels into like the whole racing scene in America. The 70s, the EPA, 60s, late 60s, 70s, EPA got involved, and we started to needed to make different types of cars, and then the hot rodding community came in. The hot rodding community was prevalent through the 70s or the 80s, and it was drag racing. And then we started to get more of imports of Japanese cars in the 90s and 2000s, and we have this fluid styling choice. And then you look at what this generation has to offer, and 20 years from now, I'm gonna look. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna look back, and we're gonna look at this generation, and we're gonna go, "What the fuck happened here?" Yeah, like, is hot rodding still a big thing? It's like, yeah, kinda. It is. It's pretty big, but it doesn't. I don't say it. I don't think it dominates the culture. This Japanese cars still taking over the world. It's like, yes and no. I feel like there's no real separation between anything more. I feel like social media and our cell phones and comparisons and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter like all have a part to play in this. I think it's made everyone into this homogenized blob of a society where no one can be individuals anymore, and the culture is kind of getting ripped apart. I started to dig deep and think, like, why is it that I like cars? Do I like working on cars every day? It's like a day job? No. What is it that I like on cars? Well, I like the creative aspect of cars. I like the creative aspect in anything that I do. And the reason why I like cars, it's not that I like cars, it's I like what cars stand for in the sense of outward expression. You know, they are an expression of who you are. I would do the same thing if I had, um, you know, if I like to color, I like to draw, so I do that. That's another outward expression. If I had space right now, I would probably have different styling choices too, and call me a fag. But I like to dress up. I think having your style is like a key to your personality. Again, the way you dress out in public is it's a perception of who you are as a person. I think everything you do is a perception, an outward expression of who you are as a person. Your car says that. So when everyone is in this, homogenized mindset of everyone has to drive the same car because this car is the best car, it creates this just lackluster and boring space to be in. I've tried watching modern day automotive YouTubers channels, and I just get nothing from it because I can't imagine when I would go buy a used car from somebody, I can't imagine myself sticking a camera in front of their face saying, "Hey, would you tell me about it? Would you tell me about like the car?" And like, am I the only one that thinks this? Because I just don't. We're not. We treat like YouTube as if like it's this normal thing to where you can just think that everyone around you revolves around yourself. It's like YouTube almost inflates people's egos to where they feel like the whole world around them doesn't exist. And it's super strange. Like, I don't know, like when people go and but like I'll give you an example. Like when these big YouTubers go and purchase a brand new car, uh, you know, the guy who's selling the car, they always have to like shove the camera in their face and like they're recording everything. Where it's like for me, it's like if I was going to buy a car, um, I wouldn't want to record every single step of the way because I want to be there, present in the moment, because it's a big moment, and I don't want to be looking at the moment through a screen recording the moment. I want to be physically present. I want my eyeballs to touch the car, not touch the screen, and I'm looking at the screen to see the car. Like, I don't want to be holding anything. I just want to be present. If I had the opportunity to upload the automotive content that I wanted to work on, like I want to make a bunch of videos of me working on my cars. Right now, because of the economy being in such a fucking terrible place, like I can't find a place to live, like a house. I'm trying to buy a house, but it's just really difficult right now. And eventually, I would like to do automotive shit where I can like build my car and do what I want to do, but I don't want to record every single second of it. I would more or less just do the important parts and highlights of it, and like, hey, this is what I built. This is what it took to get there. I don't want to like record me having like there are old videos on my channel when my buddies swapped the V6 into the Celica, and those were like the old school wholesome moments that I appreciated and I enjoyed because we weren't, no one was putting like fucking thousands of dollars into a car. My buddy's car was bought for $200, and the engine that they put in it was $200. So, like, yeah, it's just those are the kind of videos I appreciate and I enjoy, where it's just people hanging out having a good time. It's like, well, you can throw out the argument that all these bigger YouTubers now are, yep, they're enjoying it, they're having a good time while they are loaded with money and are living in a world mindset to where the viewers who watch them, you know, they don't address the viewers who watch them as almost people. They're being addressed as just a viewer, and that viewer number, the higher it gets, means the more money they make. And I know this because the more money you make, the less you start thinking of your audience as viewers and people. The more you just start seeing them as a higher number. Higher number means more money. It's just like, I don't know. I can't imagine praising a single automotive person in that sense with that much praise at all times. I just don't know. I just really wish that. I think it's just a culture problem. I honestly do. I think that the culture in America around the car community is destroying, uh, every bit of our culture in every aspect. And I think cars, uh, as a whole, are a piece of that. And I think that the solution is that I think people need to go their own way. And I think people need to focus on their own individual builds and their own individual creative vision, and then post that on YouTube. I think people should, even if they don't get a whole lot of views, you shouldn't do YouTube for views. You should do YouTube for fun. You should do YouTube not in hopes that you're going to make it big. You should do YouTube in hopes that you can have an outward expression of your creative vision and potentially attract like-minded people. You shouldn't do YouTube just to become famous. I think that's a problem with the algorithm too, because I think there are a lot of people who have the same creative vision and their videos just aren't being brought to light to those people, because they're not going to advertise somebody who is not making profit, and they will maximize profits on people who are making the money as priority because they run it like a business. But if you do end up making it, good for you. If you don't, you shouldn't let that bother you. You should just focus on what it is you're passionate about, what it is you're good about. And then down the road, you can look at these times as memories of what you were able to do and what you were able to accomplish with the little that you had. I think that's the approach that I'm taking. I think we should stop treating YouTube as a whole, as this like glorified foundation for these famous people, and YouTube should be just used as a platform for all of all of the people who upload to it. Like, there are so many people on YouTube, people, and there are so many creative people on YouTube that aren't found, because if you have your name brand YouTubers, your first instinct is to go and watch them over the other people. But sometimes you need to kind of sift around the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube is going to be catering videos that they think you want to watch, but you don't actually want to watch it because they're just giving you the same content. People are actually a lot more sophisticated than the YouTube algorithm, as it turns out. And there are videos out there that probably only have a handful of views that are potential videos that you probably want to watch, but you just don't know about it yet because it's not being recommended to you. So you have to kind of like sift through. Like, you can't just look at your recommended. You have to type in and search, race car. I like I one. I'll give you an example. One of my subscribers, um, had sent me, said, asked me questions about my car or whatever, and I looked at their channel, and I thought their channel was extremely interesting because we had both the similar cars, and they didn't have any barely any more subscribers than I had, but I thought the channel was interesting because it reflected me, and I respected their creative vision. I would have never found that channel, because of the YouTube algorithm. And I think, this is a problem that should be solved. And I think people need to just pull back from watching the most mainstream things and watch other channels that are smaller, that have, in my opinion, more interesting content. The less the more money that the creative YouTubers have, um, the less kind of creative vision I see, and the less money that people have, the more I can see their creative vision show. So yeah, that's it. I think social media is kind of hurting our culture, our automotive culture, and I think something needs to happen in order for it to change. I just don't think it's gonna, and I think that people need to stop being glued to the same content all the time, and some people need to just do their own thing, and speak their own mind. Like I'm gonna make this video, and whether it does well or not, I know that there are people who are gonna watch it and say I'm a retard, and I know that there are people who are gonna watch it and say that I completely agree with everything you said, and I know there are gonna be people who watch it and go, I only agree with this and this and this, and there are gonna be multiple different types of people who watch your video. But I think that's kind of the whole idea in general is, you need to express who you are as a person, and you can't be stuck, just based on what goes on around you, and your opinions might not be popular to a majority of people, but that doesn't mean you need to hide those opinions. You need to do you to That's the whole point of YouTube and why it was created. At least that's what I think. In my opinion, I think YouTube was created so you can see everybody's vision. Whether that's in how they talk, or what they do, or anything, anything that a person does. And I think that we need to see. There's so many YouTubers nowadays, but the lack of creative vision is pretty scary considering how many people are on the platform. Now, what's funny is the more creative people often have less subscribers because the more creative people haven't maximized the potential outcome for, the same streamlined, content of, well, when it comes to upload times and painting my car this $4,000 paint job. Like, they're not just doing clickbaity titles, and the problem with the clickbaity titles is that's another thing. It's like every channel has to make a clickbaity title nowadays, or nobody will see it. And I don't mean just like, even if you didn't make a clickbaity title, like even a couple people don't see it, you will get zero views. And at that point, it's like you want to attract similar, like-minded people, but you also can't write exactly what you want as a title because then you can't attract anybody. I think the algorithm is completely fucked up to where it's like it's not using keywords; it just uses the most popular trend. And it's, I don't know, it's hard for smaller YouTubers to get noticed because you're competing with channels that literally have millions more subscribers than they do, and it's like, okay, well, you have the creative vision, but what's the point if it doesn't get found? Do you just do it for yourself? It's like, I think you should just do it for yourself. You're playing around with this fine line of, you know, do you make it clickbaity enough? I mean, that's what I do. Like, The title for my last video is called "Modern Cars Are Not Made for Normal People." It's clickbaity in a way because in reality, I'd probably write something whereas new cars, um, where I go, where I would be more specific and I say, I do not think that modern cars are made for um, average people. Like, it just, if I put, I believe that, like, if I write it truly how I feel, I won't get that same viewer count. If I write modern cars are not made for normal people, that title acts as like a statement, and the YouTube algorithm just eats it up. And it's a shame that it has to kind of be that way. There's not much you can do about it. I don't know. I just think people need to be more creative. But I'm going to leave the video there, and I'll see you guys next time.